Hi, my name is Dee, and I'm here with my friend Amy Kasio, and we're here to talk to you about every episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm, the comedy show about an entitled wealthy boomer who challenges the unspoken social expectations and customs of today's society. And he's a huge dick about it. I am on a Pineapple Express tonight. On that express train.
How is it?
Oh, really? It's good. It's mild. It's not too much. It doesn't put me to sleep. It doesn't make me tweak out, be paranoid. So I like that.
So I had Pineapple Express like 3-4 years ago, and I had like a really great batch of it. And it was the best weed that I had ever had in my entire life. And then I tried getting it again, and it was never the same. Like, I kept buying the same strain from different places, and it was just... I was like, this is a lie.
Problem.
Something is a lie.
It's not a lie. I mean, the problem is the way that it's, cultivated. It just everything about it, whether it's like the type of soil used, whether it's hydroponic, whether it's outside, inside, how long they let it do its thing. There's a lot that goes into it to make the end product. So it's like you might have a seed that says Pineapple Express, but that's only where it begins. What are you toking on tonight, Kasio? What are you vaping on tonight? I see you with your packs.
All right, so yesterday I went to the dispensary and got some new stuff, which is very exciting. So I got something here called Purple Punchsicle, because anytime I have something with purple in the title, it's really good. That's just been my experience. So I grabbed this Purple Punchsicle, and I believe it is an indica dominant hybrid.
My favorite. But for daytime, sativa has its uses as long as it's not overdone. For me, I just get, I need to reorganize my desk for 3 hours. And then when I'm done, I'm like, did I even do anything? Or did I just shuffle everything around and put it back where it goes? Like, it's ridiculous.
So, how was your week? Anything notable to talk about?
Quite. So I work in one of Ohio's first medical marijuana dispensaries, and my mother just got her medical card on my recommendation, and she came into my store, and I sold my mother and consulted her on which strains of marijuana to purchase. So that's kind of amazing. I sold my mom legal cannabis. So, Kasio, anything notable for your week?
The most notable thing for me right now is that I'm pretty sure that kale hurts my teeth when I chew on it. Because I ordered the meal delivery kits, and one of the dinners had kale in it, and I'm not like a kale eater. And so I had to cook up fresh kale, and then it was pretty, it was tough. Like when I was chewing it, it was very tough. I'm like, I don't think I really want to eat kale again unless it's like super mushy.
Really? Maybe you didn't cook them enough. Because when Liz makes them, they like boil down and they disintegrate almost.
But are they mushy when you taste them? Or
yeah.
Because mine had like a hard crunch.
No, they're mushy.
I like my vegetables to be mushy.
That is, I think maybe the kale got cooked incorrectly, because when you start putting it into something, it just kind of like fizzles down into like soft.
Well, it did. It definitely shrunk.
I don't think, and that's probably when you were
size.
like supposed to be done cooking it. You probably cooked it for. I don't think Liz cooks it for very long at all.
But I took it out and I was like testing it, and it just kept being tough. I guess tough is the good word. So I cooked kale for like 20 minutes.
Think that's too long to cook kale personally, but I'm not a chef, so
25 minutes on the kale.
I think really you only need like 2 minutes on the kale. So we're on episode 3 of season 1 of Curb Your Enthusiasm. The name of this episode is
Porno Gil.
Porno Gil. Larry and Cheryl are invited to a dinner party thrown by a retired porn star played by Bob Odenkirk,
a.k.a. Saul Goodman.
The party turns out to be one disaster after another when Larry gets lost along the way, breaks a lamp, and is forced to take off his shoes, and has to do the dreaded double goodbye. Meanwhile, Jeff undergoes emergency surgery and asks Larry to go to his house and retrieve his porn collection so Suzie doesn't see it.
I would like to point out that this is the only episode without the standard opening title card with the characteristic black background. This one opens with a golf ball.
Until the
one
first
and
episode.
only time.
Nope. Until the first episode of season 8. Apparently, they
Oh,
also
really?
have a cold open in the first episode of season 8.
We open at a golf driving range, and Larry is taking some swings. A stranger walks behind him and accidentally drops his golf ball, which rolls directly in between them. Larry notices this, stops, and they both look at the ball. Then it becomes like the Wild West with a stare-off, as the man thinks Larry should pick up the ball for him. This is where, yet again, Larry refuses, or challenges, to follow the unspoken rules of social expectations or customs, and he does not pick up the ball. Instead, he shrugs and goes back to hitting golf balls, forcing the man to pick up his own ball.
He's so stubborn that he can't just do something nice for somebody.
Would you pick up the ball if it was you?
Yes.
What would you do?
I'm the type of person that holds the door open for everybody. You know, I would pick up the ball. I mean, if it kept happening, I would eventually ignore it. But I mean, if the dude looked at me and was expecting me to pick up the ball, I would just pick it up to be nice. It just makes it weird to not.
I feel like it would be too much work to not do it because of the attitude that you're going to get back about it is like not worth it for me.
Yeah.
To not pick it up.
So what I have written down for this is that Larry's transition lenses, which I haven't brought up yet, but they bother me. They bother me throughout this entire series. I was an optician for 6 years. I sold a lot of transition lenses to a lot of old people.
Does that mean they get dark in the sunlight? Is
Yes.
that what that is?
And it seems as though he might have a very old pair because the lenses have stained yellow from,
Ew.
you know, it just happens over time. And I don't know, maybe he's a smoker in real life, but the lenses always have a slight hinge of yellow, and it's a stain from the older versions of the transitions or from ones that are very old. And it drives me insane. I hate his glasses. They just always look dirty. And I understand that it's the lenses tinted, but I hate it. So his lenses are in full effect, transitioned. I realized in this scene that he's not fully gray. We don't usually see the back of his head, but for this, while he was taking a swinging shot or whatever, you see the back of his head, and just in the back crown area is like still some color, like a brownish kind of color. It's crazy because you never see that. You would never know. You would just think he was full on gray. It doesn't matter. There's no point in this. I'm just saying it was interesting because I don't think they ever show the back of his head, you know? So, you know, while they were looking at the ball and looking at each other, and it was like, and they were like searching for their little guns and their holsters, there was a close-up shot of the guy's safari hat that had a drawstring, and there was like a close-up shot on the drawstring. And I thought that Larry just hated his hat, and that's why he didn't want to pick up the ball.
Yeah, so if we go to the next scene, that's when Larry and Cheryl are at home, and he tells her what happened, and then he specifically says, I didn't like that hat with the strings.
You know, a cowboy hat with that, you know, that bolo string? What is that?
And he's like, I didn't pick it up because of that. and then Cheryl was like, you know, you should have picked that up. And it's just like, no, I don't want to, blah, 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 whatever.
But you couldn't just be polite, reach down and pick up the ball.
I could have.
But that string.
Also, Larry, your shirt is way too big on you. It's all I can focus on. The shirt is... Why does he buy his clothing so large? I mean, I guess that's cool nowadays to buy like a 2XL when you're really a medium, but... So anyways, they're talking. Cheryl's having lunch. They're eating sandwiches and chips. It's the afternoon, I'm assuming. They're talking about how Jeff needs to have bypass surgery, or was it double bypass surgery? And then Cheryl's like, oh, your friend called you. And he's like, oh, yeah, I was supposed to call him back. because most people wait until after they've already had an entire meal together and a conversation to then say, oh, you have to make this phone call. Normally it's something like when you get home or it's written down. It's not something that's thought of 2 hours later, but okay, it works for the scene, I guess. So he gets up immediately and says, oh, I need to call this guy back. A little black book appears, when we used to have address books and phone numbers and whatnot. Keeping it old school, although he is on a cordless phone.
Back in the year 2000.
Yeah.
It is 20 years ago.
He's talking to the guy, and he realizes he's talking to the wrong guy. He says, oh, you just sounded like my friend John, but it turns out he just dialed the wrong number. And now he's talking to this person that he had in his phone book that he probably hasn't talked to in forever. And all of a sudden, he's like, I'll need directions. So all of a sudden he's making plans with this person he accidentally called while Cheryl's just like, what the hell, what's happening? And get this, Larry says, can you fax me the directions? Can you fax me the directions?
Well, I need, directions. Just fax them.
All right.
But wait. It's 2000. I was using MapQuest.
We had a home fax in 2000.
I was using MapQuest.com in 1998 to get directions to drive from one city to the next. So, do they not have a computer? Do they not have the internet?
Well, they probably do, but he also has a GPS system in his car that he doesn't know how to use. So it's that time period where the technologies are shifting, and keep in mind his generation. So, yeah, I think that in 2000, people still had faxes. We had a home fax. We only used it when we needed it. We'd have to, make sure nobody answered the phone, that kind of thing. But, yeah, so he says, fax me the directions, and he got himself invited, apparently, to a party at this guy's house on Saturday night, despite, as Cheryl points out, that they already have planned Saturday night. Because, why would that matter? Apparently the guy that he accidentally called is a former porn star, and Cheryl is not about that life. She says immediately, no, I don't want to do it. No,
she says, I don't want to go to a porn party.
Larry, we're going to go out to dinner on Saturday.
Well, I told him we'd go.
Who is Gil?
He used to be a porno actor 15 years ago.
No, I don't want to go to a porn party.
It's not a porn party. It's not a porn party.
So Larry's like, it's fine. We'll go to dinner. We'll still do our thing. We'll stop by after dinner. We'll just stay for 10 minutes. It'll be fine. And that's when I just start laughing because I know everything will not be fine. And Cheryl is an idiot for ever thinking anything will be fine. She's a hopeful optimistic, or she's just given up.
That real actress at that time, I think she was 35 at that time.
No.
And I think he's got to be 55 at least.
Dude, I'm 36. She looks like she could be my mom.
That's a mom 35. That's a rich lady
crazy.
35.
That is crazy. That's like a Land's End 35 right there. That's insane.
Which means now she's 55.
Why does she dress and look like her makeup and everything? Why did I assume she was 45 or 50?
Because the year 2000 was a much different time. People today who are in their mid-30s and mid-40s do not look the same as people at that age in the 90s.
I mean, I'm 36, and she looks, on the show, she looks like she could be my mom now.
Yeah, she does.
Wow. I mean, I'm not
You're
hating
older
on
than
her or
her.
anything. It's just blowing my mind.
You're older than her. Somebody who's younger than you looks like your mom.
Do you think they do that on purpose? Does she...
Probably.
Are they trying to make her look older? Maybe she's an old soul, or maybe her character is supposed to be older. So a 35-year-old in the early 2000s dressed like a 55-year-old of today?
Yeah, basically. Look, we're staying younger longer these days.
Well, that makes sense because that means they're dressing how they used to dress. Because it's been 20 years. And I dress how I used to dress, and I'm sure I'm still going to be dressing the same way in 20 years.
I've been dressed the same way for 25 years.
I don't know, man. I'm just so in 20 years, the generational gap is astounding.
I know. I mean, take the clothes off of her. Like, change it to a different style of clothing. Give her some different hair.
Maybe the lipstick, too. Because, like, her skin and stuff looks young.
Because she doesn't actually look old if you look
yeah. But,
at
like,
her face.
just, I guess, you know, when you just take in the whole outfit, you assume that she's older.
And the way she acts, she definitely acts a certain age.
Okay, well, anyways, you blew my fucking mind tonight.
So now we are in the hospital with Larry and Jeff. Jeff is in a hospital bed explaining to Larry that he needs him to go grab his porn stash in case he dies from this bypass surgery, so that his wife, Suzie, does not find it.
Inside there, I have like my porn collection. I have like 7, 8 porn tapes, a couple of magazines, all right? I need you to get them out of there.
Larry has anxiety about this because he fears that he's going to get into a car crash and his porn will be strewn all over his fleeting body. They argue about it, and he eventually agrees.
What am I going to do with these things?
Keep it in your trunk.
What if I get in an accident on the way home? What about that? And this
The
porn
porn goes flying everywhere.
strewn all over the car
Right,
and all over my bleeding body.
I wrote that down too. Larry's so concerned about what if I die with all your porn in my car? They go back and forth for like a while.
I know.
I love that Jeff's biggest concern is Suzie finding his porn collection. Like it's such
I know, that's a question. Do you feel that way? That's insane.
No. I mean, I don't really have a porn collection, but you know, my wife accidentally left tabs open on a tablet once, so I know the kind of porn that she watches. So I'm not worried about. I'm not really worried about her finding anything of mine because I know some deep shit from those 3 tabs she left up. She was halfway there too because it was in incognito mode. She just did not close it. You know, so my biggest takeaway from this scene is, so Jeff's like, you need the alarm code to get in the house. And the alarm code
9988.
9988. And I knew immediately this was going to be a problem for Larry because you could easily mistake that as 8866. And I'm just like, what a horrible code. It could be anything. Why not make it like 8008 so at least it would be boob, you know? But and Larry's like, your wife better not show up. Like, it's just so ridiculous just to get some porn. They're grown men, and it's just like,
and it's hidden. She's not gonna find it anyway. It's so far back, like in a weird, like
he
hidden.
made
It's
like
good.
a little like prohibition era like hiding spot for it.
He built a shelf behind a shelf.
A wall within a wall within a shelf.
Yeah.
I need some of that.
A wall within a shelf?
Yeah, I don't know what I would hide in it, but I want one. All right. Cheryl is pissed off in this scene. So basically, Cheryl and Larry are in their car. They're heading to the
a
party.
Porn
So
party. They're heading to a porn party.
They've gone to dinner, and now they're heading to the porn party. They've been driving for what seems like a very long time because Cheryl is pissed off. Larry is lost and staring at his paper directions, his faxed directions. She's like, Larry, why don't you just use the navigation system? And he's like, I don't know how to work it. And she's like, then why did you get it? And he's like, I don't know. I wanted all the things. I wanted it loaded. I wanted the loaded things. He said loaded things. And then he said he thought someone would teach him how to use it. I like that part.
Larry, we've been driving for an hour. We're like in the boondocks. Why don't you use your navigation system
I don't know
there?
how to work it.
You don't know how to work it?
No.
Then why did you get it?
I don't know. I wanted to get everything. I wanted to have
Great.
all the loaded things.
So they're like arguing about being lost forever, and the porn star isn't answering his phone. They're on a dark road. They finally come across a pedestrian.
But wait, before we get to that person, don't you think Cheryl is being super unhelpful? She's just yelling at him, and he's driving and holding directions with both hands.
Oh yeah, she's just acting like she's his mom and that he's done something like he didn't do his homework or something, and she's just like she's not helpful at all. No, you're correct. She's just nagging him.
Are you even reading those directions?
Yeah, I'm looking for Jake's way. That's all I'm doing is looking for Jake's way. You should be looking too.
I have been looking.
These directions are shit. You know that?
And she's also not trying to get the navigation system to work either, which I would totally try to do if I was in the car.
Oh, my wife would not try to do that. No.
All right, carry on.
All right, so they're arguing about being lost. They come across a pedestrian, and this part is really weird to me. I said it was like David Lynch, and you didn't agree, but it's strange.
I mean, I could see that.
So, the woman is obviously off her rocker. She doesn't know where she is, what's going on. She's not helpful at all. They keep going back and forth for a while. He realizes she's not going to be helpful. He tries to get the directions back from her that she's looking at, and she's like, "Don't be grabby," and she like moves them away so he can't grab them. And he's like, okay. So he tries to like go back to let her, be helpful, but again, she's not being helpful. She doesn't know what's going on, and so he tries to get them back from her, and she's like, "Don't take these from me. You're being aggressive. I don't know why you're being this way." And then just rips them up into pieces, and then they fly away into the night. Like, what happened? Like, what is this? Where are we? Is this Twin Peaks?
You've been very helpful. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Can I just have the paper back, please? I have to get going. I've kind of been late. Thank you very
Don't
much.
get so impatient. Please.
Well, I'm a little late.
I'm getting a lot of hostility from
Well,
you,
no,
There's a feeling of anger.
No, there's no hostility
And
at
I'm
all.
trying
There's
to
no
help
anger.
you.
Can I
It's
just please have the
ridiculous.
paper back?
Please. You snap. I hope you stay lost.
But you're forgetting about the part where she like took a painfully long time to put on her glasses to start reading it to begin with. And then she squints and she's like, "Did a doctor write this? It's terrible handwriting."
Yes. Sorry, I'm around old people all day that need to get their glasses out.
And I talk to old people all day. Yay, old people. And we're talking about old people on a podcast.
She's like, at one point before she ripped up the paper, she said, "Oh, so you went right past that gas station. Well, why didn't you ask for directions there?" So basically, she sucks and she leaves, and she's never heard of the street he's looking for. And basically, it ends with Larry being defeated and confused and standing there like, "What's happening? Where's my directions? What's going on?" And Cheryl's just like, "WTF, I don't have time for this," and just
continues to do nothing.
In her natural form of annoyed.
All right, so I think it's about an hour later, and Larry and Cheryl are still driving around endlessly and fighting. So Larry sees a car, flags it down, asks for directions, and the driver just happens to be the man from the driving range with the ball that Larry did not pick up. So the guy calls him out on it, and Larry's saying he's got a bad back, but he's able to swing. He can't lift in one way, but he can do some swinging. And he's apologizing to the man sarcastically, and the man sarcastically accepts. So it does turn out that they're going to the same party, but in the end, the man questions if Larry should be going with his bad back. And Larry just freezes like a deer in headlights, and he's like, "Yes?"
Can I follow you over there? Should you be going to the party with your back? Can you bend over? Can you bend with your back? Yeah. Well, then maybe you should just bend over and kiss my ass, and maybe next time you'll remember to pick up the fucking golf ball.
Yeah, Larry walks back to the car defeated, to Cheryl asking, like Cheryl's face asking how it went. And this is the first introduction to the series of Larry's catchphrase of pretty good.
So how'd it go?
Good. Pretty good. Pretty good.
Then the car phone rings, and it's Gil to save the day. Yay, Cheryl's so excited. All right, so after all that, after being lost, after all that, they're walking up to Gil's house, saying to each other how they're only going to stay for 15 minutes. Cheryl is pissed, and they're questioning why there are only 3 cars in the driveway. So they come in, they talk about directions. Turns out the street they were looking for wasn't marked. Gil did not give good directions to Larry, so it's Gil's fault they were lost. Gil asked Larry to take his shoes off, and Larry says that they're clean.
He says they're completely clean. They're
completely clean. He prefers to leave them on.
And just if you would take your shoes off and right there.
Okay.
Thanks. Really? Yeah, just take them off. It's just a custom my wife started in the house.
I think I'll leave mine on. Is that okay? They're completely clean.
Yeah, it's not about that.
Look, see? Come on.
Yeah, that's not the point. Just take them off.
Come on.
I have a personal story regarding this. When I was 18, my significant other and I went over to her sister's new house. Okay, the husband was there painting, and they were like, come in. And then the husband was like, take off your shoes, though. And I was like, oh, I just got these today. They're clean. And so my girlfriend was like, oh, that's fine. And so we just went on. Well, when we got through with the tour and I went back out to the living room, he saw me in them, and he literally lost his fucking mind. Like, his head exploded that I wore shoes into his new house. And I was basically like run out of the house in shame, and it was like really embarrassing. And so I thought of that when I saw this scene. But Larry's just like, I prefer to keep him on. And the host doesn't want to argue with her.
He's the host. It's not about that. Take him off. Yeah. But yeah, he doesn't want to argue. So he was just like, okay, whatever. Let's go sit down. They're walking towards where all of the talking is coming from, and they notice it's people sitting around a dinner table. And Cheryl looks at Larry and is like, what the fuck? This is a dinner party? We just ate. And Larry's like, he just said party. I don't know. So Gil introduces Larry and Cheryl to everyone at the table. And they all start getting to know each other. And then the wife enters. the person who owns the home with the husband who answered the door, the wife. What's the strap that she wears on her shoulder? It bothers me so much. It's like she looks like a waiter with a towel on her shoulder. But I think it's like some kind of like long scarf that she just has draped over her on both sides. But I didn't notice. It just kills me. It's like all that I can see. But she reminds me a little bit of Ali Sheedy. What about you? And like she could be related to Ali Sheedy.
Ali Sheedy, who's that?
High Art, Ali Sheedy.
Oh yeah. No, I didn't get that correlation at all.
Oh, come on. Totally Ali Sheedy. Have you watched High Art lately? Speaking of.
Not in a couple years, no.
Oh, a couple years? That's pretty recent.
I mean, I don't know when it's been a while.
Anyway, that's a whole other podcast. I do like how she notices that Larry didn't take his shoes off, and she gives him like a look. And she's just furious. Veins popping off her head.
Yeah. She's mad, but she doesn't say anything yet. But apparently the dinner guests waited. They said they waited as long as they could. They said they waited a long time, but they were like an hour late. So they started eating. And Cheryl, they were like, do you guys want to eat? And Larry and Cheryl are like, no, we don't want to eat anything. We had some chips in the car or something.
And that makes her furious.
Yeah.
Melanie is furious. She says, who eats chips in the car?
On the way to a dinner party.
No, let me fix you a plate.
You know what? We were so hungry that we had a bag of potato chips in the car.
Potato chips on the way to a dinner party?
She's appalled.
Yeah, so anyways, they're just like, okay, so we're into it. They're, what are they, having dessert now? And then they're having their conversation.
Whatever, they're snacking. And so Gil mentions...
They're eating dessert.
Gil mentions that one of the ingredients is Tabasco sauce, which leads the whole dinner table into being like, cheering him on to tell a story, and then he like goes into his Tabasco sauce story.
Yes, they're like demanding porn stories. They're like, tell your porn story. Like Larry and Cheryl are not cheering him on to tell this story. They look uncomfortable. They're not
The
entertained.
wife is like happily embarrassed in some weird way, where she's like, "Oh, I can't believe this," but she's secretly thrilled. But go on.
Well, apparently, if you put Tabasco sauce in your ass, it'll make your boner stay.
You know what Tabasco's good for? Keep you hard.
Really?
Yeah. Only you gotta
What you eat it
stick
for?
it up your ass.
That's the moral of the story he's telling at the dinner table. It's a gross story. Everybody but Cheryl and Larry are laughing. Cheryl looks pissed. In the middle of all of this, one of the other guests asked Larry to see his watch. He said it's
But
very
wait,
nice.
can
Larry
somebody
takes it off and
can
gives it to
somebody
him.
test this out and let us know? Does Tabasco?
Oh, I did see on Reddit that it's confirmed as to not work.
So somebody already tried it.
Well, you know, it might have been a troll, but it said it does not work.
Huh. Okay.
So anyways, he gives somebody his watch to look
But
at.
what about the teabagging?
And
You forgot about the teabagging. During the porn story, the wife, Melanie, like the word teabagging came up, and Melanie gives Cheryl a look that's like, oh, you might need to explain teabagging to her, like as some kind of jab. And she's like, unless you already know what that is. And Cheryl doesn't really answer one way or another. She just is like, I don't know, drag queen face, looking away.
And then all of a sudden, after a couple hours, it feels like some chick's teabagging me, right?
Yeah, you should fill her in on teabagging, though. I'm sure she. Maybe you do. Maybe
You know what teabagging is? When a woman sucks your ball, she's teabagging.
Or a man.
But yeah, he let somebody look at his watch. He took it off and gave it to him. And
the party gets moved to another room.
Oh yeah. So then the wife comes in and says, "All right, everybody, into the other room for dessert." Everybody walks out except for Cheryl and Larry. They're at the table. Cheryl's pissed and she says she wants to go now.
In a very serious voice.
Larry,
super serious.
Oh yeah, like now. So Larry's like, "Oh shit." So he's like, but he's not oh shit because he goes, "Maybe on the way home we can pick up some Tabasco." Oh my God, his timing is terrible because Cheryl is not having it. She says, "Get my coat and shoes now."
I want to go home now.
Maybe we could stop and pick up some Tabasco.
Do you think this is funny, Larry? Because I don't think you're funny. I don't think this is funny. And I don't care what you tell these people, we need to go.
Okay.
And so Larry goes to get those things, but then the drawstring guy is standing in his way. He drops his lighter in front of him on purpose to see if Larry will pick it up. So Larry stares at it, he stares at the lighter, and he's like, "Oh shit, I gotta pick it up this time." So then he grips his back and starts to bend over very slowly, pretending like he's got a bad back. And when he goes to brace himself on a table, he breaks a lamp. The wife goes freaking ape shit. She loses her mind on Larry. And then it all starts spilling out about the shoes and this, and she's like, "Maybe we should get your coats."
First,
he's like,
the great line from her though is that the glass breaks, and she screams, "Nobody move! Everybody stay! There's glass all over the floor, but it wouldn't affect you, Larry, because you're still wearing your shoes." And that is fantastic. And she's just furious.
A little bit of a grandma later.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, God.
Sit down. Everyone sit down. Stay there. There's glass on the floor. No one move.
Okay, I'll get someone to clean it up.
But it doesn't really affect you, does it, Larry, the glass on the floor? No, because you're wearing your fucking shoes in my house. When you walk through my door, you play by my rules. You take off your fucking shoes. You wear your fucking little soccer shoes in my house.
So yeah, the wife is like, "You guys need to go," and he's like, "Yeah, that sounds like a good idea." So they all say bye, and then then Larry and Cheryl go to the car. They're sitting there, and Larry, he's trying to diffuse the situation, and he's like, "On a scale of 1 to 10, what would you say your anger is at right now?" And Cheryl says it's at an 8.7. And she said she was at a 9, but it went down because he got pity points when the lady started yelling at him. And he's like, well, how can we get it to a 7 so the ride home is more pleasant? Like, he's such a dick.
And she likes
I love
it.
it.
She's like, all right, we can do this. We can work with this.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the level of anger here? What am I dealing with?
Well, I'd say at least an 8.7.
8.7? Mm-hmm. That's not that bad.
No?
I thought it'd be like a 9. 8.7.
Yeah, no, it was. It was up higher. Yeah, and then you broke that lamp, and that crazy woman screamed at you. And it got you some pity points.
Pity points.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
I love pity points.
But, on the way back to the car, Larry realizes that he left the watch inside. And now he's freaking out because he has to do a double goodbye. And he's like, I'll just get it another day. And Cheryl's like, you need to get it now. That was an anniversary present from me. And they just keep arguing until he's like, fine, I'll do the double goodbye.
Remember that trainer?
Yeah.
Asked to look at my watch? He never gave it back.
Well, go back there and get it.
Oh, no, come on. Don't send me back there, please.
We're right here. Just go back in.
I don't want to do a double goodbye. I've
Larry.
already said goodbye under the worst possible circumstances. Now you want me to go in and do the double goodbye?
Yeah, I do.
So he knocks on the door. And everybody...
Well, he's like bitching about having to take his shoes off again as he's walking up. He's like, I'm going to take my shoes off again.
God. So yeah, then he opens up the door, Gil, and he explains the situation, and we could see Melanie down there on her hands and knees cleaning off the glass and just glaring at him. So he takes
Ooh. Evil looks.
So he takes his shoes off this time and walks into the house. He didn't even need to go in the house, but okay. So he walks in.
He really didn't. And he was holding his shoes the whole time, by the way. He was like grasping him to his chest.
So he gets his watch back, which I thought might have been a thing where maybe the guy was going to lie and be like, oh. But no, he just gives it back.
Yeah.
Larry leaves, and he's putting his shoes back on, but he stumbles.
Wait.
What?
Before he leaves, he has the balls to ask Gil for how to get home.
Oh,
he asks
again?
him to write him down directions. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Larry walks out carrying his shoes.
And some directions.
They all say goodbye again. And then Larry falls into the door while he's trying to put his shoes on outside. So Gil answers the door again.
For the third time. And he's like, what's going on?
That's some shit I would do.
And he's like, oh, that was just an accident. I didn't mean that one. So then he has to, bye again for the third time.
You all right?
It was an accident. It was an accident. I just...
Sounded like you knocked.
No.
Okay.
So we cut to Cheryl in misery as Larry is trying to follow the directions, and they are lost again.
Probably because the directions suck again. But he goes off on like this tangent. Like he's trying to work the logic out in his head of what animals live in barns. Because the directions say turn at a barn or something. And he's like, was that a cow? Was that a chicken? Was that whatever, animal? He was like, does that live in a barn? No, because this animal lives in a barn. And Cheryl literally says nothing this entire scene, and it's still filled with dialogue.
Oh, God.
I love it.
Is that a barn? Is that a barn? Or I think it was too small for a barn. It looked more like a stable. There was a cow there. Does that mean what? That it could have been a barn? There's no cows in barns. The cows on a farm. Are there always barns on farms? There's stables on farms, right? Not necessarily barns. I don't think that was the barn. I think we made the wrong turn.
So now we're at the last scene of the episode, and Larry is at Jeff's house to grab the porn collection. He magically gets the code right, even though he's like turning it up and down, and he can't figure out which direction it's supposed to be in. But he,
Is it 866? Is it 9988?
but
Why wouldn't they put a line under
that's
it?
what you do to
differentiate.
Uno. That's how the cards are. So he goes over to the porn stash, which is like massive porn videos, Aren't they like bigger? Isn't that how like the VHS tapes were? Is like,
Oh my God. The DVD boxes for porn were huge.
for DVD?
They had like foam inside.
For
I mean,
VHS?
for VHS.
Yeah, I feel like they were massive.
I don't understand why they were so large.
I don't know.
Maybe to make them like harder to steal.
Maybe to make it more embarrassing.
I don't know. I only ever bought one porn. It was on my 18th birthday, and I was with friends. We went to the porn shop together at midnight, and we bought Jenna Loves Brianna or something like that. Jenna Jameson porn.
The 90s.
And then we went home and watched it
porn.
together. And it was in a giant fucking box. It was huge.
I think I bought one once. I don't remember what it was, but like my friends knew somebody who worked at a porn store or I don't know. It's not really a porn store. But that's what you would call it back then, back in the 90s. But now it's just like an adult store or a sex shop, whatever. Whatever. But I think I had the same situation where I was like 18 or something and I was able to buy one. And me and my friends went in and I got something. And I think I just got like the strangest thing I could find, which might have been like some sort of anime thing.
Oh my.
It was either anime or...
Oh my.
Yeah, and so we take it home, like to the friend's house, because we're like a group of people, like looking for something to do on like a weekend. And so we're just hanging out, like, and we put on the porn movies for fun. I was a bunch of gay guys, by the way. So we put on like this anime porn, and I think all of the parts were like blurred out. And I was like, why did I pay for this? I don't know what it was. I don't know why I would have gotten something animated.
Well, my friend dubbed copies of that VHS for both of us because all three of us, went in on it. I think it was Brianna Loves Jenna. And I was just like, can we skip past all these dick sucking scenes? I'm trying to see some shit here. But yeah, anyways, so we're at Jeff's house. Larry has found the wall with the hidden porn behind it, and it's old porn. It looks old. It looks terrible. But hey, there's one with Gil in it. Gil is on the cover. So Larry's like, oh shit, I gotta watch this. He's in Jeff's bedroom. He immediately turns on the TV and puts the Gil porn into the VHS, and he's watching it, and his face goes from like maybe entertained or mildly pleased to like kind of disgusted. And while that's happening,
he looked thrilled.
Yeah, his face transforms a lot through this. But guess what? Because this is Curb Your Enthusiasm and Larry David, while he's watching this, Jeff's parents show up and walk into the bedroom with their luggage. They must be in town because he's in the hospital. They also must
be ghosts because he didn't hear them coming in or drag those suitcases.
Well, there's carpets. I don't know. But he acts like it's no big deal, unfazed, and he turns back. He's like kind of leaned back on the whatever he's sitting on. He turns back and looks at the TV and he goes, I had lunch at his house yesterday.
That's a friend of mine.
Like they're supposed to be impressed.
He says, hey, that's a friend of mine.
And so the parents are horrified. So naturally he's going to have to apologize to them.
Oh my God.
Hi. It's a friend of mine. Gil Thielander. I had dinner at his house yesterday.
But that's where the episode
End
ends
scene.
with Larry doing it again. Larry pulling a Larry.
Yeah. It's a friend of mine. So for me, that's one of my favorite episodes of the season. I just love the absurdity of the dinner party and the woman, Melanie, yelling and screaming. That's a fantastic clip. I love it. I like this episode. How do you feel about it?
I like when Curb gets going a little bit more.
I mean, I feel like this is the most Curb that we've gotten so far with the dinner party, the ridiculousness.
It's not as intricate a story as some of the stories they weave, though.
Yeah, I'm excited to get further into it.
Because it's like they build these stories up like a tower of cards, and when one thing crashes, everything else comes down.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Why, thank you.
And I'm Amy Kasio, and that was Dee.
Join us next week for The Bracelet and the Blind Man, Episode 4 of Season 1 of Curb Your Enthusiasm. Yeah! you can find us at Instagram at Larry Curb Podcast, Twitter at Larry Curbcast, Facebook Larry Curb Podcast, and we're on YouTube, but we don't have a URL, so just search for us if you really want to find us there. Let's see here. My name is DMC Squared on Instagram. Kasio is Amy Kasio, and we're on pretty much every streaming podcast app that there is. So see you next week.